This morning, we are seeing a lot of warmth, a lot of humidity. Probably no shocker, right? It is August in the Carolinas. But these numbers, the muggy levels, all those things are going to really be going up over the next few days. Right now, we're not tracking any kind of thunderstorm activity locally, and the overall storm activity will be very low. We're kind of sandwiched between two systems. We had the storms yesterday that were mainly to our south and to our east that are off the coast, and then we have some showers streaming in from the northwest. I do think a stray shower or storm is possible today, but it is not a significant opportunity. Good morning, Olga. Good morning, Michael. Hopefully, you all are having a wonderful start to the day. So, if we were to see any storms, I think this would be primarily west of I 77. You can see these popping up by the second half of the day. Truthfully, both today and tomorrow, we're very limited in terms of overall rain and storm coverage. Now, any that do develop, we got a lot of moisture in the atmosphere, which means heavy rain, gusty winds, frequent lightning. However, we're not going to see a lot of storm activity, so I'm not too concerned about it. In fact, I do actually think that the heat and the humidity this weekend is a much bigger story. And the reason why, well, there's a plethora of reasons why, but because we could see a few heat advisories and also the Panthers, NFL football. We got our preseason home opener going on at Bank of America Stadium. Kickoff is at 4 p.m. today. Temperatures, though, pretty typical for August standards. We are talking 93 degrees, which is about 4 or 5 degrees hotter than normal, but feels like temperatures upper 90s to near 100. It's not that it's our norm, but we do see these days very typically in late July and early August. So it's not going to be the hottest temperature you've ever felt, but if folks are going to be out and about tailgating, make sure you're drinking water. Staying hydrated, maybe another way, taking frequent breaks in the shade if at all possible, and spending some time in the air conditioning. Fingers crossed for a big Panthers win. Was watching some of our sports coverage and hearing that some of the, I guess, guessers, forecasters for the game say that the Panthers look great and potentially better than the Jets. Fingers crossed. Back to the forecast. One thing I do want to note, and we talk about this a lot, especially during football season, sometimes during Charlotte FC season too, but lesser because it's not as hot for some of those games, especially early. But Bank of America Stadium, where it's positioned, do you get that extra sunshine, making it feel hotter? The answer is almost absolutely yes if you're on the visitor side. So the visitor side, encompassing full sunshine for hours, means 10 to 20 degrees hotter. So that means a temperature of 93 could feel up to 113. Now, you'll notice that because of the higher sun angle, which happens in the summertime, and of course, we're still in summer, that some of that full sunshine kind of expands to both end zones right under where like the big TVs are at Bank of America. And so we are going to see a lot of people that could see that additional 10 to 20 degrees. So it's imperative that before you go to the game, you check your tickets. So if you don't know where the visitor side is, you'd essentially be opposite of the press box and again under the huge TVs. It can be a little confusing when you look at like the seating website, but you want to look at the ticket section. And again, if you're across from the press box or on either side of the end zones, you are likely going to be impacted by this. So just a heads up, it's that time of the year. We just got to get through a few months and hopefully no one is impacted by heat exhaustion or heat stroke today. And speaking of today, 93, not at Bank of America Stadium, but officially at the airport, we are expecting the heat index to flirt with the upper 90s to near 100. Not out of the question that a few spots don't see the triple digits, but just at the Charlotte Douglas International Airport, we don't expect it. I did note this during the newscast, and I'll include it here just for kind of solidarity. But when you have the air temperature as well as the heat index, those numbers are taken in the shade, which is why we really hone in on the full sunshine with Bank of America Stadium this time of year, especially because 93 and 99 in the shade is going to feel a whole heck of a lot higher when you add in the direct sunlight, which is why we talk about it so much. But tomorrow on Monday, things are going up. And those things are the high temperature as well as the heat index. We have an increase in humidity, the dew points going up. We could flirt with 105, if not even hotter, on Monday, which means heat advisories are possible, if not likely, for at least portions of our area. That doesn't mean everyone will see them, but at least some will. And 96, my current forecast for Sunday, would actually break the hottest day of the year so far. It's been 95 and we've hit it a few times. Tuesday, we go down a little bit, but Wednesday we'll finally be feeling much better, slightly cooler and slightly drier air. I like to include these just so you kind of have a threshold for most of the area. Emphasis on most. I've mentioned this before, but we're covered by 4 different National Weather Service offices, so not all of the offices have the same threshold, but the impacts are the exact same. If your heat index is expected to be between 105 or 109, normally you'll have a heat advisory issued. Excessive heat warning is 110 or greater. There are some of our counties, including Lancaster County, that this threshold is a little hotter. It's 110 and 115 respectively, which means that we could have a heat advisory for everyone else except you, but that does not mean that you will actually feel cooler. So hopefully that's clear. Frank, I'm not sure what you're referencing, but I'm going to move on to the forecast. So that's heat advisory and warning criteria. And of course, if there is one issued and you have our WCNC Charlotte mobile app and you have our location services turned on, if there was a heat advisory issued for where you are or where you live, you would get a notification. So just keep those on if you do like getting those alerts from our weather app. It's a really great tool to have, especially because you can kind of track radar, track the current temperature, track the heat index while you're out and about. And other than the heat and humidity, here's something else that'll make it still feel like summer is the skeeter meter. We are well into that yuck category. We've seen a lot of heat over the past few days. We've seen a lot of rain, especially on Monday with those big storms rolling in. And so there is a decent amount of ground saturation, some standing water, maybe some higher levels in our streams, creeks, lakes, things of that nature. But I do want to talk about something else fun before I show you the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Tonight is actually the official peak of the Perseid meteor shower. This happens in late July and into August, but it peaks this weekend. So you might have caught a few if you were out and about yesterday, but it's tonight that it's actually expected to be its best. Technically, it's Sunday morning, but it's tonight. Because remember, of course, past midnight is Sunday. Brad and I were talking about this the other day, that it's hard sometimes to kind of explain, reference that because you forget, right? It's 12:05 and you're still thinking it's Saturday, not Sunday. But technically, after midnight and before dawn are your best times to see it. Normally, we talk about 12 to 6 is that like kind of threshold, but this year specifically, I think that 12 to about 3:30 could be some of your best viewing time. The reason why is because the moon doesn't rise until closer to about 3:45 a.m. So you'll have all that time frame where there not is going to be that additional light pollution from the moon. It's only a 10% waning crescent this year. That's also positive. So even once it rises, it doesn't mean it's going to fully block your view. Whereas last year we had a full moon, which completely ruined it for most of the area. So after midnight and again before dawn, your best viewing time. If you see on social media people saying 100 meters per hour, that is absolutely not a possibility in our area. Um, so you don't see 100 meters per hour. Don't think, oh my gosh, I did something wrong. Not possible. 10 to 20 here in the city. If you're closer to Charlotte, if you can't get out to a darker, more rural area, you could see 20 to 40. But we have a decent amount of cities and towns here in the Carolinas, so you'll likely see some kind of light pollution, even if you look at the darkest part of the sky. And that is going to be kind of tip number one when we talk about best viewing practices. You want to look to the darkest part of the sky, away from any light pollution if possible. Another thing is be patient and give your eyes time to adjust. Typically, they need about 10 to 15 minutes. And I just mentioned this, but pre-moonrise, just this year specifically, kind of based on the different time frames for the sunrise and the sunset, and the moonrise and the sunset, or the moonrise and the moonset, that is pre-moonrise. So like that 12 to 3:30 a.m. Potential could be your best bet if you're trying to get a glimpse. If you get any photos, videos, I'm sure Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich will be out trying to get some on his camera. Please send them our way. We would love to see them, love to share them for you. You can send them on social media, email. I text him, I believe, to 704-329-3600, which is our number here at the station, or you can use the Near Me function in the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. So, a quick recap of today. Of course, the Panthers home opener, it's going to be hot and humid. Please know where your seats are to know how that may impact how you feel. Temperatures at the airport 93, but will feel close to 100 tomorrow and Monday. We'll be watching for heat advisories potentially issued. And then by Tuesday, we are going to start to see those levels drop a little bit and then much better weather on the way for Wednesday and Thursday. I will be back on Wake Up Charlotte Weekend tomorrow morning starting at 6 a.m. We're on from 6 to 8 and 9 to 10. And we will do another stream tomorrow after the show to kind of chat a little bit more about, if a heat advisory is issued, what that means for all of you. But I encourage everyone to stay safe, hydrated, and stay weather aware for the rest of your weekend and into the early part of next week, especially Monday, but Tuesday too, before better weather is finally on the way. Have a great Saturday, everyone.